Hey guys, it's Mo from Mo in the Deep End, and Fry is where is Fry? Oh, Fry decided to come over to my side of the desk, so I'm going to take the Fry cam off for now. We have this is the live, but let me make sure I have that correct. All right. Oh, for the love of goodness. You go away for 5 seconds. Try to get some cleaning done because you have a glamorous life, as you know. And this is what happens. So let's see and put volume up. We have everyone going. Everything is awesome.
Second video is Howard House main
Right.
level.
Make sure
Third
everyone
video
can
is
hear.
Howard House upper level. Fourth video is Howard House evidence. The fifth one is houses, aerial and ring cams. And the last one is side-by-side comparison.
Right.
At this time, I'm going to
I
ask
saw
to
bits and
play
pieces,
the
but
Howard
that,
lower level video clip.
I mean, it confirms my biases, which probably isn't good because that's basically my thought pattern. Just going with basic logic at this point that she's such a tiny, teeny woman and he was so big, any sort of scuffle is going to end up with her basically being unconscious in my estimation. Now, that's my estimation. So I saw bits and pieces, but I was and listening bits and pieces. Uh yeah. But I was also, somewhat Twitter pated trying to look at different things. Sir, if you are eating my purse, you are going to get the hat of shame. So I would suggest not eating my purse. Just as a friendly reminder, don't eat mommy's purse. Of course, this doofus would be like, no, that's impossible. I am a lovely giant. Wash your hair, dude. You are ticking me off. As a mom, I'm going to like, it's like when I yell at my boys, okay, and I tell them to get a shower, and then I have to preface with soap, because it's like a two-part question where you say, "Okay, did you take a shower?" And they're like, "Of course I did." And I'm like, "With soap?" And they're like, "Well, now since you asked." Okay, well, that's a no. Then go get a damn shower. Yeah, he's like, "I'm gonna pet the rabbits, right?" I mean, could we have the Lenny ending from Mice of Men?
And these video clips are about under 2 minutes, I believe.
Yeah,
At least
there's no way. I mean,
the one I'm showing right now.
even if you so, I mean, she would have had an adrenaline dump and then an adrenaline, um, withdrawal almost. So she would have been exhausted, and then you have, the oxygen deprivation. I mean, she'd also let's say she'd been drinking too, which, is a Galentine's Day. I'm sure she got an Uber home. But, I mean, she's a tiny woman. She's fighting against a man nearly double to almost double and a half her size. He strangled her. I mean, he just he dropped her off the balcony. Let's be real. I don't care what physiognometry you use. I mean, guys like, "Oh, we're using the board of truth. We're using the board of truth." Fry, stop eating my magic eraser. Seriously, Fry, stop eating the magic erasers. But if the balcony is like this, regardless of him, you know, dropping her off like that or her holding on like this, if this awning is here, I mean, he doesn't have to hold his arms out that far. If she crumples down arm length, he doesn't have 6 foot long arms. Either arm's length or her holding on arm's length and pushing herself out, they're still going to be both arm's length. So his story doesn't make sense. His story doesn't. I don't care about the awning so much. It doesn't make sense. Regardless of, look, if my fight or flight is going strong, do you know where I'm never gonna go ever as a person that's afraid of heights? I don't care if I did a photo shoot. I am never gonna go out here. I will punch, fight, and go through this person and go into my house before I ever go outside here to a death drop. It's just never gonna happen. Ever. It's just not. I'm sorry. Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not gonna happen. Sir Roberto, step away from the purse. Fry says, I don't like you anymore. Like, I am not getting any attention. Now we have to put us back to, oh, I love you too very much. No, not my necklace. Probably.
Is this a video
Sally,
clip that's playing for the jury? Is this what you
very
created?
lucky.
Yes.
I've called
And is this
him
created in the
wrong
manner you
name.
described?
Yes, it is.
You should feel
And
deeply
so
loved.
I noticed that
Can't
you did
remember
not
anyone's
include
name
trees. Were you asked to include trees when creating these models?
No, I was not. I did not include trees or.
What in the? I didn't. I am not touching anything. I promise. I have no idea what just happened. Okay, let's see if that
Is
happens.
this a video clip that's playing for the jury? Is this what you created?
Yes.
And is this created
All
in
right.
the manner you described?
I am
Yes, it
not
is.
touching a damn thing.
And so I noticed that you did not include trees. Were you asked to include
Fry, did you
trees
do
when
that?
creating these models?
No, I was not. I did not
Stop biting
include
my
trees
hand.
or.
Okay. Apparently the judge just fast forwarded us through things because he's like, I just don't care. Raw coverage. Did they steal that from Baker? Oh Lord. It's gonna be one of them days. It is hump day. Say it is hump day and we is going wilds. All the wilds. Okay. Nope. Oh, okay. Well, that I was like, I didn't even touch the damned buttons. I didn't even do it. I was like, I would like to be excused from whatever just happened. I was like, my glasses is all smudged. I'm having to wear my backup glasses. I don't even know what happened. I would like to be.
It's starting to feel like winter almost, doesn't it? The people are prepared to call their next witness. They have Mr. Mendoza, is that correct?
Yes, Your
I
Honor.
keep
All right,
being
you
told
may,
that the state's going to
ask
rest, and
Mr.
then the
Mendoza to
state
step in.
just keeps on a going. The thumbnail's staying on, folks. I'm just going to keep
Mr.
praying
Mendoza,
that this
Mendoza, if you
keeps
could raise your right
happening.
hand, fix my clicker.
Do you solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give and the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you out? I do. Thank you. Please have a seat.
No.
Oh, Your Honor, is there a hearing aid for witness? I don't know.
Is there a hearing aid?
Well, some type of hearing aid for the witness. I don't know if the court provides any.
I don't have any. If we had advanced warning, I think we probably could have gotten some apparatus. Are you have difficulty hearing?
I'm okay right now.
Okay, if you need a question repeated, please don't hesitate, okay?
Thank
If we had advanced notice, we probably would.
Sal, we need David to call. Where is hot or relatively hotter, court reporter? I don't think we've seen her since day one. I don't know if she was admonished for, semi-nude looking shirt, but we need a search party. We need to find her. She has been missing in action.
We're able to get some kind of advice. But if you need a question repeated or you don't hear a comment, please let us know. All right? All right.
You're gonna be able to hear my questions, okay?
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Go ahead.
Please state and spell with your first and last name.
Can you state your first and last name and spell them both?
Jorge Mendoza.
All right.
First name Jorge. Last name Mendoza.
All right, Mr. Is it Avila?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Please tell the jury what it is that you do for a living.
I'm a forensic animator.
What does that mean?
That means I work with accident reconstructionists, and we recreate accidents, civil and criminal cases.
Can you describe your professional experience that has prepared you to do that type of work?
I graduated from the University of Texas, El Paso with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, and I began working as an engineer for various organizations, Walkville International and Naval Air Station Alameda.
What other experience do you have?
As a mechanical engineer at Naval Air Station Alameda, I received extensive experience in mechanical design, engineering analysis, and 3D design drawing. While I was working there in 1992, A6 intruder was doing touch and goes at the base. It crashed into the bay, killing both the pilot and the co-pilot. That was the very first forensic animation I did. I built an accurate 3D model of the A6 intruder. I built reference models of the Naval Air Station, and then I worked with naval investigators, and we recreated the flight path of that A6 intruder as it went over the base, lost control, and crashed into the San Francisco Bay.
And did you create your own company back in 1993, Litigation Animation?
A year after that accident, I decided to form a company, and I called it Litigation Animation Incorporated, where we do forensic visualization throughout the country.
What does that mean?
Again, I work with various experts, biomecanicists, automotive engineers, train engineers, pilots, and I build models and I work with them and I take their analytical data and I create models so that the jury can understand their testimony.
And what type of software would you use to create these 3D models?
I use 3D Studio Max, 2D software, Photoshop, and After Effects.
Do you work with civil attorneys?
Yes, I work with a variety of civil and criminal attorneys.
You work with criminal defense attorneys?
Criminal defense, the last criminal defense attorney I worked with is Phil Harney, and it was a case involving.
Complete your answer. You can complete your answer.
So it was a case involving somebody.
Well, I don't need to know what the case was, just that you work with criminal defense attorneys in the
I
past.
do work with criminal defense attorneys.
And in this particular case, were you asked to create 3D models of 2086 Mount Street and 2080 Mount Street?
Yes, I was.
And was this request sometime around February 1st, 2023 of this year?
Yes, it was.
And were you provided with a video walkthrough of the property at 2086 Mount Street?
Yes, I was provided with various material, and one of them was a video walkthrough.
Were you provided with an LAPD laser scan of 2086 Mount Street dated April 14th, 2020?
I was provided with a laser scan.
And what is that? When that laser scan, what is that exactly?
A laser scan is a device that essentially will capture the 3D geometry of a surface And to capture a house, usually you'll need 4 scans. You put one in the back of the house because you have 4 sides to the house. In the back of the house, that'll capture all the surface geometry, and then on the left side. So when you're done, you end up with 4 scans, and you're able to connect them into a single point cloud, which you can process in a 3D modeling program and create a surface model that can be presented to the jury for animation or visualization.
Were you also provided with crime scene photographs for 2086 Mountain Street?
Yes, I was provided with multiple crime scene photos of both properties at 2080 and 2086 Mountain Street.
Were you provided 7 Ring video cameras showing from 2080 Mountain Street, certain Ring cameras depicting what happened towards the back of the property and some depicting what's in front of the property?
Yes, I received 7 videos of Ring cam for 2 cameras on 2080 Mountain Street.
Were you provided some preliminary police reports?
I was provided with 4 investigative reports from the police.
Were you provided with DMV photos for defendant Gareth Pursehouse
Yes,
and for Amy Harwick?
yes,
You were not provided the autopsy
Oh,
report.
damn
I
it.
was not.
Let me see. if I
Did
can-
you, on March 17th, 2023, go to the location of 2080, the neighbor's house, Mount Street,
No, not
and did you conduct a laser scan of that property?
I did.
Why did you do that?
Excuse me?
Why did you do that?
I did that because I needed to reconstruct the area where the Ring cam video was. So I needed to build a computer model, and I
was
needed to
trying
locate
something. One
the
second.
position where the Ring cams were set up.
So how would the laser scan help you, along with the photos, the crime scene photos, help you determine where the location of the Ring cameras?
Using the photographs and the evidence that I captured with the laser scan, I was able to use the photographs and determine where the Ring cams were placed on the property, and they were placed on a pole. A couple of one was placed on a pole, and the other one appeared to be placed on a fence.
Okay. And now that you have the laser scan for 2086 Mount Street, and now you've generated a laser scan for the neighbor's house, were you able to create 3D models from this data along with the other information you had?
Yes, and the way that process works, I take the laser scans, which was 19 laser scans for the 2086. I combined them into one laser scan called the point cloud, brought them into a 3D modeling program, and from there I use the surface points because it creates millions of digital points, and I'm able to connect those points and create surfaces and create surface geometry and create a model.
And did you create various 3D models?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Did you create various 3D models?
Yes, it was various models.
And what was your objective in creating these 3D models?
My objective was to help the jury understand where the evidence was located relative to certain structures.
Was it also to show how the buildings related to each other, 2086 and 2080 Mount Street?
Yes, when the 2 models were complete, you're able to see the spatial relationships between the 2 houses and where the evidence was found in relationship to the inside or the outside of the house.
Were you asked to make sure that the buildings, 2086 and 2080, that the building structure was to scale?
Yes.
I do really like
now,
that they
you
did
would
all of
receive
this
crime
because
scene
this would have been
photographs,
super
Yes.
confusing.
And in the crime
to
scene
me
photographs,
had
you
they
could
not done
see
this. I have no
portraits,
awareness.
furniture, plants, correct?
Yes.
Were you asked to place all those items to scale within the 3D model?
No, I was not.
And would that be an issue to do that to every single item that you see in a photograph?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Would that create an issue for you to scale and create a picture in the 3D model of every single thing that you would see in a crime scene photograph?
Yes, having put all the different elements that were in the house at 2086 would have been very distracting and would have taken away from being able to see the relationship where the evidence was placed within the property or within the different rooms or in the patio.
How much time would you have to spend if, for example, you had to scale a portrait that was in the living room? Or let's say a plant. Let's say if there was a plant
Or say
in the living room.
you know,
To model every element of the
the
house, and let's say
cabinet
a
of
plant
sex
would
toys
take
that the roommate had,
maybe 5 to 6 hours.
the display case of
So your focus was
kingdoms.
doing a 3D model of the general structures, height of the various points in the buildings.
Yes.
You want to have it in my hand is CD, but just remark people's next in order.
119.
119. And it has 6 videos.
Law simple. He didn't even
and
put
they're
the deer
labeled-
head
the video
in.
ones labeled
I would have put the
Howard
cabinet of
House
ding
lower
dongs
level.
in from the,
Second video is Howard House
from the
main level.
roommate, but you know,
Third
I have
video
a sense
is
of humor.
Howard House upper level. Fourth video is Howard House evidence.
Oh no, you're fine. You are
Fifth one
totally
is
fine. You,
Houses, aerial, and ring cam.
Christine, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. So when I do have a free time, ask again. It's just that this weekend is super duper crazy. So I don't mind at all.
And the last one is side-by-side comparison.
All right.
At this time, I'm going to ask to play the Harwick lower level video clip.
Okay. Does Gareth or does Gareth not look like he possibly has a ride-on lawnmower circa Chandler Holderson? I believe he looks like he has a two-lady, uh, you know, riding lawnmower with his current hair color.
And these video clips are about under
Oh.
2 minutes, I believe. At least the one I'm showing right now. Is this a video clip that's playing for the jury? Is this what you created?
Yes,
I
And
do
is this
love this
created
so
in the manner
much.
you described?
yes, it is.
I mean, it really.
So I
makes
noticed
a
that
lot
you
of
did
sense
not
to me.
include trees. Were you asked to include trees when creating these models?
No, I was not. I did not include trees or the ceiling.
And this lower level floor plan, what's it supposed to show?
It's right now it's basically rotating around so you can get a general description of the property, and it'll dissolve into the lower. I guess it was an apartment that Amy had rented
Oh my
out,
gosh.
and it shows
What
you.
was it? What was that movie? Was it Slither? The one where the guy ends up morphing into that big amalgamation of all the townspeople, kind of slug thing. He does look like that. You're right. I can't remember. It has the guy that played on Firefly as the town sheriff. I can't remember, but I love that movie.
The layout of that apartment.
Well, that part of the rented out, that will be stricken.
I'm glad we all understand.
But you
what I'm
said it
talking
showed
about
what
and I
appeared to
can't
be
remember stuff.
a separate
Sorry,
apartment
you are
at
shedding
the lower level.
all over the place.
Yes,
I love you too.
And here it appears that you're identifying different sections of this lower level.
correct.
And what are they?
I believe this is a stairway.
Cords.
This is a bathroom. A utility room. Bedroom.
Okay, and now let's go on to the next video clip. And is this to scale?
I'm
by the way?
trying.
Yes.
I'm
I
gonna
thought I
play
was.
Harwick House main level.
To be honest, I think I might have forgotten. It is very possible.
This is
I've
also about
forgotten
a
this
2-minute
week.
video clip.
But I will make an effort to do much better the rest of the week.
All right, and what are you trying to show with this video clip? Main
Again-
level floor plan.
Again,
I
I'm trying to
think
orientate the jury to
Yes, I
the
did not.
structure of the house, and I'm rotating it around so they can get a good look at it, and then we'll dissolve to the main level.
Which reminds me, I can do that now.
But how many hours does it take to create, like, for example, this mid-level 3D model?
It's an iterative process, kind of going back and forth, building up on the structure. And the total time approximately was 194 hours for the entire project.
So this is not somewhere where you could just punch something into the software and it comes up with a 3D model?
No,
Why would you say that?
it takes a lot of back and forth, checking dimensions and putting up the surfaces and looking at photographs, looking at the laser scan, checking the points. There's a lot of checks. There's continually checks and balances.
And so this shows the living room area.
Yes.
dining room area. And is this also to scale?
Yes.
Now, the furniture that's in this depicted there, is that to scale?
I'm sorry.
Is the furniture that's depicted in this model, is that to scale?
It is not. It's what I call a reference object, and it's placed there to help the jury understand where the evidence is located. So it's an approximation of the geometry and the scale of the actual object.
But you have the photographs, that's the actual evidence of where furniture may be located.
Yes.
All right, let's go on to the third video, Harwick House upper level. And what were you trying to show with this video clip?
David's on full.
Again, I'm trying to
Why the hell is
help
Chris
the jury
Rock in this
understand the
movie?
general
Danny
structure
Glover
of
done,
the
retired,
property
and
on
over this
2086.
stuff.
So that's why we have the rotation, and then we dissolve a base so that we can show the upper level floor plan.
And now, the balcony here, is that to scale?
It is.
And did you focus to make sure that the balcony and its relationship to the ground was to scale?
I did.
And for
Sounds
example,
like
the height of the railing,
again.
did you try to make sure that that was to scale to the best of your ability?
Yes.
And how do you check measurements with it when you're doing these 3D models? How can someone check the measurement?
You can trust the laser scan. The laser scan is very accurate to within a fraction of an inch.
What do you mean by that? How's the laser scan so accurate?
Well,
Who the
I'm
hell
not
wants
exactly
to
sure of
live
the
in
algorithm
LA?
that's used within the laser scan, but it shoots out, if it was to scan this room, it shoots out a point and it'll catch that surface and it'll identify that point in three-dimensional space, but it shoots out millions and millions of points to identify the different surfaces. And as a modeler, I will come in and I will extract the surfaces of that wall over there and create a model, begin building a model.
And then you would know almost any measurement related to that particular point.
And they could be measured.
All right, looking at the fourth video, Harwick evidence. This is about 5 minutes. And what are you trying to show with this next video, Harwick house evidence? And I'll wait until we.
Sir, stop getting so excited. You were there. We have you
Now
on
it
photo.
appears to be a walkthrough. I'm going to pause it here for a second. Now you're not trying to
I
show
wonder what we're gonna
anyone's
see.
particular walking speed or anything related to this case. You're just, is that correct?
That's correct. The camera was not even placed at some eye height. It was purposely placed probably about 3 feet. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't trying to mislead you and try to represent this is what it looked like to walk through this house. So I believe it was around 3 feet from the ground.
Okay, go ahead. And is this video clip also to scale as far as the building?
Yes.
And will it show the general location of the various pieces of evidence?
Yes.
And you have the photographs also for this, for where these items of evidence were located.
Right. We use the photographs to position the physical evidence within the different locations that were identified.
I'm gonna pause it right here. So right now it's showing number 14. And on your 3D model, is that the approximate location of where you would find that particular item of evidence, photo ID number 14, within the 3D model?
So we have multiple photos of the evidence on that door, and we use them to approximate the location and place our digital exhibit within our model.
Go ahead. And would you request it to focus on certain items of evidence?
Yes.
As far as this particular 3D model video.
That's correct.
Right now, at 2 minutes and 2 seconds, are you now in what looks like to be a TV room?
Yes.
You know, at least he didn't get like the idea from the King of the Hill episode when Peggy got the idea
Once again, the
to
furniture
mix
here is just a reference object.
ammonia with
reference
bleach
objects.
to make a
Now, when you
super
say
cleaner.
reference object, do you
Don't
try to make
that.
it
That is a
similar
bad,
to what
terrible
you observed
idea.
there
You
as
will
far as
make,
furniture?
Just
mustard
geometry,
gas. Do not do
approximately
that.
similar, but as you
Again,
can
do
see, I
not
made
do
all
that.
the same blue
Terrible,
color.
terrible idea. Do not do that.
And then you have photographs to show the location in the 3D model for particular pieces of evidence.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
In this 3D model, you have photographs showing various crime scene photos and the location within the 3D model.
That's correct.
See? We try not to hurt ourselves
Now
or
the
other
model
by making
appears to be moving towards
super
the bedroom
cleaner.
on the 3rd floor.
That's right.
Now, when you wrote red stain on doorknob, that was your interpretation of where the red stain was.
That's correct.
And so would this be to scale at the point that you're here in the balcony?
The balcony is to scale.
Well, you know, all of us have our talents.
All right, and the video ends at about this point where it's from a view from the balcony looking down at the concrete patio.
Yes.
Right, thank you. I'm going to play the next 5th video clip labeled Houses, Aerial, and Ring Camera. This is also about a 5-minute video clip. What are you trying to show with this video clip?
Just identifying the two houses.
And the distance between the two houses?
You can see the spatial relationships of the two geometries.
It would have made an interesting story for Newsy News. I'm just saying, Sal, help a sister out. Think of the Mo. No, Sal, it's not too soon. You know me.
And now these two buildings to scale within this video.
They are to scale.
And are you going to include the ring videos within this video?
I believe so.
So at minute 1, there appears to be a ring video and there's a circle showing the location of that particular ring camera. Is that right?
The white
Yeah.
circle. You turn on the volume. It's blowing up.
Can you tell us what is shown here at this point at
Yeah.
little past 1 minute and 20 seconds? Can you tell us what is shown here?
Right, so the circle identifies the location where the photographs identify the ring cam, and then that insert on the top right corner shows the video that was captured from that ring cam.
So you were able to
Thanks.
determine the location of the ring camera for the particular video clip.
That's right.
Sal, I give up on humanity. Can we switch species? I don't identify as whatever this woman is.
And up
What
to this
the
point,
actual
at
goodness.
1 minute, at 2 minutes and 13 seconds, you're now on the third ring camera video at this location.
I believe so. What's this video?
And these are video clips with a time of 20:53 hours. That's like 8:53 p.m., correct?
Yes,
Let me pause it. Then you have a fourth video embedded into this 3D model with a time of 1:11 a.m., correct?
yes,
And the location of that ring camera, you were able to determine it's it's on that post towards the back of the building.
that's right.
This man is
Lastly,
just ridiculous and
You were
dumb.
provided with DMV photos for defendant Gareth Pursehouse, showing his height and weight,
Yes,
and also a DMV photo for Ms. Amy Hardwick with showing her height and weight.
yes, you did.
Looking here at people's next in order, Your Honor, people's number
You are at 120.
120.
Yes.
Thank you. Is this the DMV photo
Well,
you were
I
provided
mean,
with?
Yes,
And it shows her height as 5'5" and her weight at 118?
that's right.
Did you, using the information from the DMV photos, did you create models of their bodies and put them side by side?
it was probably more
Yes, I
prejudicial
took
than probative.
The evidence from the
If you really
driver's
look at it.
license, and I created two models to show the height differential comparison between Amy and Garrett.
Play that video clip from People's Exhibit number 192. And can you tell us what are you trying to show with this video clip?
Just trying to show the spatial difference between the two and their height differences.
All right, thank you. Now, did you also create some 3D video stills?
Yes, I created some stills.
Your Honor, have people's next in order, people's number 121.
Yes.
3 photographs, A through C. Looking here quickly. This is a video still showing both locations, 2086 and 2080 Mount Street,
Yes, I was provided.
the backyard.
Yes, that's mine.
And looking at photograph B, this is a video
That's-
still focusing on 2086, the backyard and the concrete patio.
Again, that's mine.
That's what?
That's one of mine.
And is that to scale?
It is.
And looking at photograph C, does that show the back and appears to show the third level without the roof?
That's right. It shows the third level without the roof to scale.
Thank you. And by the way, did you use it when you went to laser scan the property back in March of 2023? Did you use a drone at all?
I did, but the data was not usable.
Did you obtain any photographs from that drone?
I may have, but I don't recollect.
I have 2 aerial photographs. Will this be marked people's next in order?
122 A and B.
Yes. You recognize what's shown there?
That could be from the drone.
Reindeer,
Is
I will
that-
be going over that
Is that
story
20?
on
Am I
Nightly
pointing
Newsy
to
News. So we will
2086
get
Mountain Street?
into
Yes,
crazy
2086.
names.
That's 2086, and that shows the balcony. And
Here, I'm gonna show you
From
another photograph,
Australia,
the zoomed in
because-
version B.
Well, America
balcony,
can't
you
be
see
the
that
only
there?
one with gray.
yeah, I believe I don't remember, but that if I'm the only one that took drone shots, that could be mine.
Okay. Did you provide this to the prosecution, if you know?
I provided everything I had to the prosecution.
Did you recently provide drone photographs?
Say it again.
Did you recently provide photographs from a drone to the prosecution?
I don't remember when I provided them.
But this, going back to photograph A, does it show like this blue awning? Can you even see it? Is the blue awning, does it go under the balcony?
Yes, the awning from this angle, you can't see it. You can see the faces of the back buildings, the back structure on 2086, but you cannot see the awning because it's hidden. It's being obstructed by the balcony.
Looking at Defense Exhibit ZZ7, this is a photograph of the awning, which is underneath the balcony.
Yes, the balcony. The balcony extends out further than the awning.
Now, on or about September 12th, 2023, this month, were you asked to create a slide, a still that had measurements from the ground to the top of the balcony, and to include a model of Ms. Harwick and also the height of the railing?
Yes.
Looking here at people's next in order, people's number
23.
123.
Okie doke.
Is this the exhibit you created?
This is an exhibit I created.
And so letter A is for the height you had for Amy Harwick from the DMV photo, 5'5".
Yes.
So is that model there supposed to be 5'5"?
That model was also measured and determined to be 5 foot 5 inches.
Yeah.
And then you had
You
a
know,
measurement
maybe
B
it reminds him
of the
of
height of
Super
the
Mario
railing at
Brothers when he used to
3
be able to
feet
play
and
video
6 inches.
games.
Yes, I measured the railing to be 3 feet 6 inches.
And when you say you measure it, how are you measuring that?
I have, if you can imagine, I have all these digital points are overlaid right on top of this surface model. So I'm able to actually measure. I have a choice to measure from the point cloud or from my model. So I do both.
And that's how you come up with.
Yeah.
And then you had letter C, which is top of the balcony rail all the way to the ground at 21 feet and 1 inch.
Right. And again, I use the same technique to make that measurement.
And this was created sometime around September 12th, 2023.
Yes.
And do you make copies so they could be provided to both the defense and the people?
I do not remember.
Yeah, I don't understand dying on the hill of, look, she was engaged in parkour. We have this one photograph of her doing a highly staged modeling pose. Admittedly, she looks awesome, and as representation of the palest among us, I support it because those of us who, have never seen the sun before deserve representation, but it makes no sense. It makes no sense. It is a dumb thing to again, you compare this to the memo that we're going over where they have footnotes, citations, all of it is coming from the discovery that the state has provided. And then you're like, no, she, do you see this photo? She definitely has affinity with high places and she used to dance. She's quite athletic and flexible. believe us, bro.
But
Totally.
you provide them to the prosecution.
I did.
Were you then requested to make another 3D slide showing an additional measurement of the ground to the floor of the balcony?
Yes.
He does. Now,
And did you do that on or about?
so we've had several iterations of why he looks different. At first, we thought maybe, and I think it was Reindeer that had the first idea that maybe it was intentional that he was going to look less threatening. But as things have gone on, we collectively decided that he is neither intelligent enough nor forward thinking enough to uh, come up with this strategery sort of idea. Now, the other thing posited is that he is on antidepressants that caused him to gain weight, possibly because Pursehouse would be only one step up from Prison Pocket as the worst name to have if you are actually in jail.
Or about September 17th, 2023.
Yes.
People's Next in order number 124.
Yes.
Is this the still that you created with an additional measurement of D from the floor to the balcony floor?
Yes. This is another exhibit I created showing the dimension from the bottom of the balcony to the surface of the patio.
Now, sometime in August of 2023, did you receive a report from a Robert Malik?
I did.
And after that report, were you asked to make sure that the awning was actually to scale?
Yes, I had to make some corrections to the awning because it was not to the correct scale.
Was it a reference object before you read that report?
That is correct. It was a reference object.
Had anybody asked you to make that to scale at any point before you read that report?
No,
So once you read that report, you made it to scale.
that's right.
Did it change much when you would see it?
Not-
Well, in appearance, did it appear to change much?
It did. It brought the awning into proper geometry, scale and geometry. So it basically put it where it should have been, which was kind of under the awning, under the balcony.
Okay.
So after you fixed it, it was more under the awning now.
Yeah, it was a correct scale. I corrected the scale.
Well, I mean, that
And
makes
after
sense.
that, in that report,
Look,
did
Cat
you,
looks
notice an incorrect
extremely
measurement
intimidating.
for
Not gonna lie.
the ground to the floor of the balcony?
Yes, I did. I noticed that the expert had.
Well, I don't want to get into that. Just did you notice an incorrect measurement?
Yes, I did.
And is that when you created this video still, people's number 124?
That's correct.
And we then requested to make some more video stills focusing on the awning. And I have here people's next in order 3 photographs, A through C.
25.
Looking at photograph 125A. Can you tell us what is shown here?
So after I corrected the scale on the awning, I provided the prosecution with some dimensions of the awning relative to the balcony.
And prior to that report from that expert, you didn't believe, nobody told you that the awning was an issue.
We have checked that's irrelevant.
Well, is an issue. I
Well-
won't sustain it with respect to that.
Okay. Prior to you reading that report,
Because you all raised it.
no one had asked you to scale the awning.
Asked and answered.
Well, he didn't answer. Did anyone ask you that question, sir?
No,
Okay.
And so this is a view of looking straight to the back of the house and showing the balcony. Is that correct?
that's right.
And it shows that the awning is about 13 feet and 4 inches in length?
That's correct.
I have no idea.
Show, what's this measurement? 1 foot and 6 inches. What's that supposed to show?
That shows the distance, vertical distance from the bottom of the balcony to the lower edge of the awning.
Looking at photograph B. Can you tell us what you're showing here?
Okay, this is a side view of the property, and it shows how far the patio extends out by 2 feet 2 inches, and it shows that the awning only sticks out 1 foot, approximately a foot.
In photograph C.
This shows the relationship between how far the awning sticks out and how far the balcony sticks out. Yeah, 1 foot, 2 inches.
Okay, so it's about 1 foot and 2 inches to the awning, which is
an arm
closest
or a
to
leg
the
as
wall
he
of the
dropped
house.
her over.
No, this is
probably
the
hit
relationship.
the awning.
The awning sticks out 1 foot from the house. So from that 1 foot, measuring from the tip of the awning to the
I
end of the
believe
balcony, it's 1 foot.
I believe he was the first or second day. I'll have to go back and look because I think he was the first or second day. I don't think he was their first witness. I believe their first witness, if I'm not mistaken, was Dr. Friendzone. The other therapist that worked in creating sort of an advocacy group.
1 foot 2 inches.
Okay, thank you.
So that's how much more the balcony sticks out.
And about how many hours have you spent creating these 3D models and stills?
Approximately 194 hours.
And how much
And
have you
You
charged?
use software to do this?
I use a variety of software: 3D Studio Max, After Effects, Adobe Photoshop, and some other programs.
You have computers running to create these models.
Yes, after we connect and create all the surfaces and add all the textures that we need, we do a process that's called rendering, just like an artistic rendering, but it renders a surface, and it could take up to 40 hours to go through one rendering cycle.
So all these models have to be rendered?
Yes, they all have to be
Have-
rendered.
So you indicated you dedicated 194 hours, and how much do you charge per hour?
I believe it's $350 an hour.
So
I am
your
in the
total
wrong business.
The total amount that you're going to be requesting in this case, based on the 194 hours, is that close to 68,000 for these 3D
Yes,
models?
it's $68K.
And that includes the laser scan and everything you did.
Yes.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Well, at least the state took that out. Oh, is he crying because he cost the people of California nearly $70,000?
Good afternoon, Mr. Mendoza.
Good afternoon.
The $68,000 that you are billing, does that include your testimony?
No,
Does that include your travel?
no, it does not.
So you've traveled here from San Jose,
That's correct.
and are you going to be billing for your travel and your testimony as
Yes.
well?
Yes.
And how much do you charge for your testimony? Is it an hourly rate?
No, I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple $1,000s a day for testimony.
Plus travel,
$500.
and are you just here for the day, or are you staying over?
I'm not sure what's going to happen today.
All right, so if you have accommodations, that will also be
Could
billed.
you speak up?
Yes, if you have also accommodations to stay here overnight, will that be billed?
I don't.
You don't bill for that?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I do.
Okay.
Well, it depends on how long it
Now,
takes
you
to ask
indicated
questions,
that
ma'am.
you went to the location of 2080 Mound and 2086 Mound on the same day. Is that correct?
That's right.
And on that date, you acquired some drone data.
Yes.
Do you remember what that date was exactly?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Do you know what date that was?
Get
I
Doogie
believe
up
it's
there.
March
He
17th.
has a
Do you know what
deeper
day of the
voice.
week that was?
That's your relevance.
I'll give it a little
I don't.
leeway.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at a calendar?
You can tell me. I don't.
Would it be Friday? Friday?
I don't remember.
Oh God, we're going to refresh
Mr.
recollection.
Avila asked you about having to correct the scale of the awning. Do you recall being asked that?
I'm going to object. Ms. Stacy's testimony, you did not correct the scale of the
All right, let's rephrase the question.
I believe you used the word correct. Is that right? When you talked about changing the shape of the
Well,
awning
he said
in your
her,
diagrams?
her voice is
Is that a
irritating. The
correction?
fact that she doesn't deep condition her
I wouldn't
hair
call
and
it
it's all
correction
frizzy and
because
back,
that we
it's
deliberately
deeply
made that
irritating
into a
to me.
reference object, which was an approximation of the actual awning.
But I'm a mean person and I'm irritated today. So
So you took an approximation
I'm trying to keep
and you
myself
changed
quiet so I
it
don't do ad
to
hominem
make it
personal attacks
conform
on
with
everyone.
the scale of the awning. Is that correct?
I used a laser scan in order to adjust the scale of the awning with the actual awning and using the laser scan.
But that was to make it to scale?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's something about the
I need to
pitch and the
turn it down.
nasally. It's nasally. I have a deeper voice for a woman, and it's just there's something about the higher pitched nasaliness of most women's voices irritates me. Like I said, though, I'm on a petty trip today because the Delphi thing has just all the irritation of me. So,
Excuse
you
me, Your
know,
Honor.
Yes.
Is it possible to get some water?
Let me see. Can we get some water, please?
so I am trying to hold myself back and be kind to people.
We'll see if we can.
Can we
You have some?
chair on the bottom shelf?
Okay, we'll get you some.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
yeah.
Excuse me.
Make Gareth get up and get some water, damn it.
It's gone.
He's not, seems like he could stand up, get some steps in. As a fellow fluffy person trying to deflate, we could get some steps in. I'll do that. I mean, I wouldn't trust the water he got, but we could all get some, well,
You know Friday's a holiday, right? You all know that? Yes, it is.
Friday's a holiday?
I'm not sure which holiday it is. But what is Friday anyway? What holiday is Friday? Oh, it is Indigenous People Day. There you go.
Did someone say pure
Pure vodka.
vodka? Hello, Wendy H. Thank you so much for joining us and saying
Yes.
hey and just joining us for a little bit. Thank you so much for your support, and I appreciate it so much.
So I found what I was looking for.
Jesus, a
I
man,
have
a cat,
a rendering from a video
deep
prepared
conditioner.
by Mr. Mendoza. May it be marked defense next in order.
You're at triple C, yes.
Mr. Mendoza, do you recognize this rendering of the property at 2086 Mound?
Yes, it is.
Was this the original version that you created before you changed the awnings and made them to scale?
Yes, if you look at the awning, you could see that it's sticking out considerably further than the adjusted version.
And so after you changed the awning to scale, the awnings actually were recessed beneath the balcony. Is that correct?
Could you repeat that?
After you changed this rendering of the awning to make it to scale, the awning was actually retracted beneath the balcony. It no longer extended beyond the balcony.
That's right.
And Mr. Avila asked you about the reason why you removed, or you did not, let me rephrase that. Mr. Avila asked you why you did not include things like trees outside the properties of 2086 and 2080 Mound. Is that correct?
Could you repeat that? Restate it.
Okay. Mr. Avila asked you about your reasons why you did not include trees and other foliage surrounding the properties at 2086 and 2080 Mound. Do you recall being asked that?
No.
You don't remember
Because
him
you're not
asking you
Bob
about that?
Ross.
Nope.
Do you remember him asking you about plants?
We had a discussion about how much detail we were going to add to the model and how much that was going to affect the cost of the project. And it was cost prohibitive to add all that detail.
Okay, are you talking about inside the house?
You mentioned plants and trees.
Yes.
So a combination of both.
Okay. Your Honor, I have a series of 3 photographs I'd like to be marked defense.
Triple D 1 through 3. How's that?
Triple D 1 through 3.
Yes.
Yeah, because him not adding the trees is making your client all the not
I'm
guilty.
going to show you Triple D 1.
It was like, oh, those trees would have stopped her. Definitely the Yeti that was hiding in the middle of the trees. It's like
Does
Sasquatch
this
did
appear
it.
to be the front of 2086 Mount Street?
This is 2886 Mount Street.
Showing you Triple D 2.
This is the angle we're going with.
Is this the rear of 2086
Y'all,
Mount
I
Street?
I am at Danny
Next door
Glover,
and in
lethal
the
weapon 2
upper right of the
level of sweaty, retired, and done
you
with
can see
this
blue
crap.
awnings on a structure in this photograph. Is that correct?
This photograph shows both properties in the rear, 2086 and 2080. 2080 being on the left.
Okay. Is this from your drone footage?
Yes.
And this was taken the same day as your inspection of 2080 Mount Street,
Yes. March 17th.
2023.
Yes. 2023.
And then the last photograph in this series, Triple D 3. Is this an aerial photograph or an aerial still of drone footage you took of 2080 Mount Street?
Yes.
Well, how dare he not put in all those trees? Think of all the lawn gnomes he didn't get.
Do you know what type of equipment the LAPD used when they created the 3D scan that you relied upon?
Not off the top of my head. I believe it was a Leica. I believe it was a Leica.
Do you know how to spell that?
LICA. But no, that's not correct.
No, I do. So it was, but it was Leica, you just don't know how to spell it?
I believe it was Leica.
Oh,
And was
don't you
Detective
smile,
Carranza
smirky face.
present with you at 2080 Mount Street when you did
Listen,
your
I know it's not
work
correct,
there?
but
Yes, he was.
don't you do it.
Did you make contact with
Mark 'em
anybody at 2086 Mount Street?
No,
Did you go on the
Actually, he looks better
premises at
this way.
2086 Mount Street?
I did not.
I think I'll just keep him like that when we show him from now on. I'm just kidding. I won't do that. Possibly. It depends.
And I noticed when you were going through the demonstrative evidence, specifically the upper level in the Harwick house,
Yeah.
there was, most of the time you would show a particular piece of evidence and then include a photograph that LAPD created of the actual evidence as it was photographed by LAPD. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I noticed, though, that when there was a portion of the demonstrative video that indicated beads, there was no matching LAPD photograph.
You'd have to show me that exhibit so I can confirm that.
Okay.
But we did have photographs showing the beads on the floor.
She's like, but did you get all the beads? You didn't get every single bead in your no.
While they're
Your
looking for
digital
that
book.
video, you indicated that you did not receive, excuse me, you did not receive the coroner's report.
I did not receive the coroner's report.
So when you created your models, you did not have coroner's information about Amy Harwick's actual weight, correct?
What was the last word?
You did not have the coroner's information for Amy Harwick's actual weight, correct?
That's right.
Well, get those handcuffs off him. She lied about her weight on her driver's license. Doogie Howser is going to explain how physics makes it all okay. We're
Okay, we were able to find that location.
Showing your people
People can go at minute,
119.
and the video is the Harwick House evidence at 3 minutes and 34 seconds.
All right.
And could you just play it briefly just to see that no photograph?
oh, the humanity, the beads are, for the love of God.
All right, that's fine, thank you. So you did not have a photograph to match the location of beads that you depict in this video, is that correct?
Beads or a bead?
Beads.
No,
Plural?
back up.
I'm sorry. Did you hear the question, sir?
No, she's just going to back up the video.
You okay?
Do you want it to start before the word bead?
No, just to show the exhibit. Oh, they're right there. That's not true. I did, even though I did not include the photograph that showed the beads on the floor, we did have photographs that showed where the beads were kind of strewn about the floor. And you have to look hard into the photo to see them, but they were there within the photo, but I did not include them in the exhibit. And the reason I did include them because the LAPD did not mark them as evidence.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. You may step down. People?
Do people call Mr. Robert Broderick?
Oh, yes.
All right.
Yes, I do. Oh, where is it? Oh, I have. Yes, I do. I just have to work on tweaking where my layout is just a little bit.
All right, Mr. Broderick, if you could approach the witness stand here, please. You can raise your right hand, face my clerk.
You solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give and the cause now pending before this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Have a seat.
I will have to work on this tomorrow. It is just another day.
Please state and spell both your first and last name.
Robert Broderick, ROBERT
I will have to
BROD.
actually, yes, but I will have to
All right,
go
counsel.
to a different way. Let me-
Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you do for a living?
I'm employed by the Los Angeles Police Department as a criminalist. I'm currently assigned to the serology DNA unit,
And what are your duties as a criminalist?
primarily DNA analysis.
And what is your background, training, experience that qualifies you to be a criminalist?
Prior to being hired as a criminalist, I obtained a bachelor's degree which covered the required coursework. Also, before I was hired, I took and passed a written test. After being hired, I underwent a training program,
Oh, for the love of Cheetos.
which
I don't need
consisted
that.
of reviewing relevant scientific literature, observing experienced criminalists performing their duties, practicing analysis on mock evidence. Prior to
Is it
beginning
just me,
casework,
but
I
is this Steve Gosney's
underwent
long
and
lost
passed a
twin brother? I'm going to call this Gosney Jr.
competency test. Competency test. I'm currently
Stop looking at me with
undergo
your dead
proficiency testing
soulless
twice a
eyes.
year. I undergo annual continuing education classes, and I'm certified by the American Board of Criminalistics and Molecular Biology.
Now, we have a bit of a weak mic, so if you mind just speaking directly into the mics to make sure the jurors can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you. As part of your duties as a criminalist, you talked about conducting DNA analysis. Do you interpret DNA data?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you also analyze and compare data
Okay.
and prepare reports during your coursework?
Yes, I do.
And do you conduct
It's just
analytical
me. That
review
works.
of other analysts' casework?
Yes.
Now, have you ever testified before?
Yes, I have.
About how many times?
Approximately 50 to 60 times.
Now, is your laboratory accredited?
Yes, it is.
Are there certain requirements that must be met by the lab in order to achieve accreditation?
Yes, there are.
And are those the FBI quality assurance standards?
Yes,
Don't
we're also
side-eye
accredited
me,
by
sir.
ISO 17025 accrediting standard.
Are there standard DNA testing methods and protocols used for DNA analysis?
Yes, there are.
Are these standard methods and testing procedures used throughout the country?
Maybe not the exact ones, but very similar ones.
And does your lab have standard operating procedures related to DNA testing?
Yes, we do.
Do these standard operating procedures comply with the FBI quality assurance standards for forensic testing?
Yes.
What type of DNA testing does your lab perform?
I perform standard short tandem repeat DNA testing.
Is that commonly known as STR testing?
Yes, it is.
Is this the current state of the art for forensic use in the country?
Yes.
Now, what is DNA?
DNA is a collection of large molecules that exist in all of our cells in our body, with the exception of red blood cells. They contain the information that we need in order to live. They give us our biological characteristics that we're able to survive, and they make us who we are. Our DNA makes us us. A tree's DNA makes it a tree, and so on.
Is DNA the same in every cell in someone's body?
Yes.
With the exception of identical twins, is each person's DNA unique?
It could be considered unique.
Does a person's DNA change throughout their lifetime?
No, it does not.
Now, what is a DNA profile?
A DNA profile
That's what
is
you put on Tinder.
are the genetic markers that we're looking for on a person's DNA
and those genetic markers are what make up the profile.
What do you do after you obtain a DNA profile?
There's a few things we can do with it. We can compare it to another person. We could possibly upload that profile to CODIS, which is a DNA database that's used to identify people. It depends on what the specific needs of that investigation are.
Can you use DNA to exclude people?
Yes.
Can you use DNA to include people?
Yes.
You stated that when you obtain a DNA profile, there's a multitude of things that you can do. Can you also compare evidence samples to reference samples?
Yes.
And what is a reference sample?
A reference sample is a DNA profile obtained from a known source.
And what type of samples are used to obtain a DNA reference sample?
Usually oral swabs, but they can also be blood as well. Blood can be drawn from a person, and that blood can be used as a reference sample material as well.
Can you briefly describe the process of DNA analysis?
During DNA analysis, there are several steps that the sample will undergo. One is extraction, which consists of breaking the cell open and breaking the nucleus of the cell open, which is where the DNA is. So that can be liberated. Once that's done, it goes through a cleanup process to remove all the extraneous material from the DNA, so it can be purified. Once that occurs, we will then measure how much DNA is present in that sample, so we can know whether we have enough to even continue our
Can't even
analysis with.
imagine what kind of circus music is going on in his head.
After that, if there's enough DNA, we
But
will
right now, I'm
amplify the
imagining
DNA.
AC/DC's
DNA
Thunderstruck.
amplification, which consists of making molecular copies of the genetic markers that we're interested in looking at. After that, it
Bobby,
goes to
I'm
a
glad you
separation
said it, not
process,
me.
and ultimately
We're all going to purgatory.
we get a visualization on an electropharogram, and that's what we use to ultimately compare profiles.
Now, is there interpretation of this data?
Yes, there is.
Now, at some point during the interpretation step of the DNA analysis process, are you aided by a computer software program known as STRmix?
Yes.
And how does that work?
STRmix, commonly referred to as StarMix, is a computer program that is a tool for us and assists us in determining what the DNA profile from the data we have is.
Do you input that data into the STRmix program?
Yes, we have an electronic copy of the data that we obtained from our instrumentation that gets imported into the computer software.
And do you conduct the same sort of review for the electropharogram for every sample that you analyze?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
You conduct the same review through the STRmix that you do for each sample?
Yes, every sample that we enter into StarMix, we do review.
Does the STRmix provide statistical weight for DNA data?
It can be used to perform statistical analysis on a sample, yes.
What is a likelihood ratio?
The likelihood ratio is a ratio of two probabilities. The ratio of something, usually we set up a hypothesis that this DNA profile came from a person of interest versus it coming from an unknown individual. If the likelihood of, if the probability that this DNA profile came from a person of interest is greater than coming from an unknown individual, and that will give us a likelihood ratio.
So what is the purpose of providing a statistical weight to the data?
So that we can help us, the likelihood ratio tells us how likely it is to have originated from a person of interest or from an unknown person.
Now, is a lab report generated after the data is run through the STR mix program?
Yes.
Are controls used to ensure that there's reliable and accurate results obtained?
Yes.
And what are those safeguards that are used in order to ensure that there are accuracy and reliability?
Once we run a profile through StarMix, we call it deconvoluted. Once it's deconvoluted and we have the profile or the profiles that were obtained from that DNA profile from that, or it may even be a mixture of more than one person. It may be from one person or maybe from multiple people. We will review the profile that StarMix has created to the electropherogram that we have to see if it makes sense and that we agree with the StarMix results.
Does one analyst carry out all the steps of DNA testing that you just talked about?
Usually not.
Does the DNA lab that you are employed by, the LAPD lab, employ something called batch processing?
Yes.
At each stage of batch processing, do the analysts write, record, or otherwise document data near or at the time of the event?
Yes, contemporaneously.
And are these records kept at the laboratory in the ordinary course of business?
Yes, they are.
Now, taking you to this specific case, did you receive items to analyze under DR number 2006062220?
Yes, I analyzed data under that DR number.
Now, were the evidence items that you analyzed the following? A reference buccal sample from Gareth Pursehouse, a swab of red stain from French doors in living room, swab of red stain from floor, another swab of red stain from French doors in living room, as well as a swab of red stain from French doors in bedroom.
Yes, those are the items I analyzed.
And did you
Did they
conduct an analysis of those items?
Since I didn't hear everything that they collected, did they do any collection of under her fingernails that you guys know of? Since she was in a scuffle? I mean, I know that she fell down and was obviously covered in blood, but they collect under her fingernails at all? Or did they assume that it was just too tainted because of her fall and everything else? Which could
Items
be
of
the
evidence
case.
sometime between February 16th and February 18th of 2020.
Yes.
What kind of testing was performed on these items?
Short tandem repeat or STR testing.
Did you prepare a report in this case that reflects the results of your testing?
Yes, I did.
In addition to your report, is there a case file?
Yes, there is.
And does that case file outline all the steps that were taken for DNA analysis that you described as part of the standard operating procedures and protocols followed by your laboratory?
Yes,
And do you have a copy with you?
I do.
And is it standard practice in your crime lab to prepare a report describing the test results, including that is in the case file?
Yes,
And that's for every single case.
correct.
And those reports in the case file accurately reflect the results of testing performed by each of the analysts in batch processing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, were any of the items that I talked to you about or referenced that were booked under 2006 06220, was there any screening tests conducted on any of those items?
Yes, there was.
And why was there a screening test that was performed on these items?
They were described as red stains, and a presumptive test for blood was conducted on those 4 samples.
Now, just as a general question, is it common practice by your lab to be able to test samples or swabs for urine?
No.
So you're able to make determinations as to biological fluids for items of evidence that come into your lab. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
You're able to test for biological fluids that on items of evidence that come into your lab. Is that correct?
Yes, we do, for some biological fluids.
And when you say some biological fluids, that includes blood. Is that correct?
Yes,
Or semen.
yes,
However, your lab does not test for urine. Is that correct?
we do not.
Now, you indicated that the screening analysis indicated that there were certain items of evidence that you referenced that tested positive for blood.
Correct.
And why is it that you conduct a screening analysis during this DNA analysis of these items?
When we have a swab that's
Check and
described
check.
as a swab of a red stain, we don't know what that red stain is. Maybe ketchup. So we conduct a preliminary test for blood in the laboratory to test to see if it could be blood. If it's positive, then it warrants further investigation as being blood.
I
Now,
look
seeing that
If
these
it's not
swabs
ketchup, then we go
of
for
red stains came back positive for blood, did those swabs then proceed to DNA analysis?
Yes, because they tested positive with our presumptive test for blood, they did go on to DNA testing.
Now, I know you said you conducted a screening test for each swab indicating positive result for blood. Was there some sort of analysis also conducted on the reference buccal swab from Gareth Pursehouse?
There was DNA testing conducted on it, but there's no preliminary testing done on it.
So just a DNA analysis of the reference buccal swab.
Yes, because it was a reference sample.
Were there DNA profiles obtained from the items of evidence?
Yes, from all 5.
Was there any sort of combination of DNA present in any of those samples or swabs?
All the samples resulted in single source DNA profiles.
Meaning there was only one DNA profile present in each of the items of evidence that we're talking about here.
That's correct.
What were the results of your
thank you
DNA
so much,
analysis
dear.
of the initial swab
Is
of
he
red
lying
stain
because he knows
from the
he's,
French doors in the
all
living room?
guilty, allegedly?
Both of those were single source male
Or is he
profiles.
having the allergy problem
I
had
compared those
yesterday?
to the DNA profile recovered from the reference sample of Gareth Pursehouse, and they matched.
So you're talking about both of the swab of red stains from the French doors in the living room. There were 2. Is that correct?
Yes,
And you conducted developed a DNA profile from both of those stains.
yes,
And you said from both of those stains, there was I'm sorry, could you repeat the comparison to that of the reference buccal sample from Gareth Pursehouse?
both of those samples, both of those single source DNA profiles were compared to the reference sample obtained from Pursehouse.
And what was the result?
The DNA profiles from both of the red stains matched the DNA profile obtained from Pursehouse.
And did you do a frequency occurrence estimate of the profiles?
Yes, a likelihood ratio was calculated.
And what is that likelihood ratio?
So the likelihood ratio, it's at least 1 septillion, which is 1 with 24 zeros behind it. 1 septillion times more likely that those DNA profiles obtained from the red stains originated from Gareth Pursehouse as opposed to an unknown individual.
That's 1 with 24 zeros after it?
1 with 24 zeros behind it.
Now,
Huh.
did you also do a comparison between the DNA profile developed from the red stain from the floor to that of the reference buccal sample from Gareth Pursehouse?
Yes, I did.
And what were the results of that DNA analysis?
The results were the same.
Was the same likelihood ratio also concluded by you?
Yes, I concluded the likelihood ratio was the same.
And the likelihood ratio of the match of the DNA profile from the red stain from the floor and that of the reference buccal sample from Gareth Pursehouse is again 1 in septillion?
At least 1 septillion times greater that originated from Pursehouse as opposed to an unknown.
And what was the results of your DNA comparison to the swab of red stain from the French doors in the bedroom to that of the reference fecal sample from Gareth Pursehouse?
That sample resulted in a single source DNA profile from an unknown female.
So your DNA analysis of the swab of the red stain from the French door in the bedroom came back to the DNA profile of a female with an unknown source at this time.
Yes,
Now, you didn't have a reference sample to compare that female DNA profile to anything. Is that correct?
no, I only had one DNA reference sample.
And that was belonging to Gareth Pursehouse.
Correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Good morning.
Not looking good for my client, is it? No, ma'am, it's not.
So I want to back up for just a moment. You said there are essentially 4 steps in DNA analysis, correct?
Approximately, I mean, generally 4.
Okay, and in this case, did you do any of the initial 3, the extraction, quantification, or amplification?
I did not.
Were you present when those steps were completed?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, so you can't testify determinatively that the analysts who performed those steps followed the policies in place.
I wasn't there when they were doing the work.
So with regard to StarMix, it's a probabilistic genotyping software, correct?
Correct.
And essentially what it does is there's some statistical principles underlying it that try and, I don't want to say guess, but come up with the best estimation of what genetic profiles are present in a sample.
Yes, it helps us determine a genetic profile.
Okay, and initially StarMix was primarily being used for mixtures, correct?
It can be used for mixtures and it can also be used for single source profiles.
And single source profiles prior to StarMix were manually deconvoluted.
Correct.
And that essentially means you're going in with the naked eye, you're looking at what alleles are present at different loci and determining what genetic profile is there.
Yes, exactly.
And when you do random match probability, you also end up with a statistic, correct?
Yes, random match probability is a statistical analysis.
And that essentially tells you that if you were to pick a random person out of the population, it tells you how probable it is that they would share the same DNA profile as the person. I think you refer to them as the point of interest.
The random match probability tells us approximately how many times that DNA profile occurs in the general population.
Okay, and that's different than a likelihood ratio.
It is.
And with a likelihood ratio, what happens is the analyst who's doing the examination inputs 2 hypotheticals.
That's correct.
And in this case, or I guess most criminal cases, the hypothesis is that the DNA profile came from a point of interest or from an unknown individual.
Yes, that it came from a person of interest.
Okay. And when you're getting a likelihood ratio, that statistic is only contemplating those 2 hypotheticals, correct?
The hypothesis is that this profile originated from a person of interest over a unknown individual compared to an unknown individual.
And those are the only 2 hypotheses being examined, correct?
For a single source profile. For mixtures it becomes more complicated, but for the calculation that was performed in this scenario, that was a hypothesis. Person of interest over an unknown individual.
Okay. And LAPD lab protocol actually doesn't allow a likelihood ratio to be referred to as a match, correct?
Yes. I wouldn't refer to a likelihood ratio as a match, but I could look at, when I say match, I meant electropherogram. The genetic profiles visually are a match.
Okay, and so when you're talking about the electropherogram, it's essentially a chart that shows the different loci on a gene.
Yes, the various genetic markers that can compose that DNA profile.
Okay, so if you think of a chromosome as a street Would it be fair to say that the loci are houses that you're looking at?
Like specific addresses, sure.
Yes. And then within each house, you're looking at alleles, which are the genes that are present.
Not the genes, but genetic markers.
So it would be the alleles that are present, one from mom, one from dad.
Yes,
And that's how we determine someone's individual genetic profile.
correct.
So in this case, the match did not come from star mix. The match came from you visually looking at the electropherograms.
Yes, I looked at the electro.
Hey, who decided it was right to take out her hoo-ha piercing? Like, of all the important things we need to do, someone was like, wait, stop the presses. We have to make sure that the hoo-ha piercing is taken out. What is wrong with people? I need everyone to stop being insane. Look, I am the deeply unserious one. Stop making me be the voice of reason. I don't like it. It's weird. It's unsettling. I feel uncomfortable in the position. Stop it.
electropherograms and was able to determine that they matched the same genetic profile. Then I utilized star
okay.
mix
You're actually just
to
in time to get ready
calculate
to go
a
into
likelihood ratio.
Okay. So when speaking about this,
well, but she was unconscious, and I don't know why having a hoo-ha piercing would have anything to do with yeah, but I mean, how would they know about it? I mean, I would assume, look, if you arrived all smashulated, because you fell off of a balcony, the first place I would look wouldn't be a hoo-ha piercing, okay? Call me crazy. I mean, I guess if you were going into an MRI, I guess they would look and make sure you didn't have any piercing. It just wouldn't be the first thing top of mind. Possibly if they needed to put in a catheter. I'm just thinking, I, yeah, I just, again, it's not something that would be, I'd be like, let's get her some x-rays. Maybe it's just something they just ask, like, x-rays, outrays, and who has piercings. Just make sure that they've got all the things ready to go. But Peace Peony, you are just in time because I'm going to go for about another 5 minutes. Then I am going to stop this stream, take Fry out for a quick walk in the front yard, and then Nicholas should be joining me for another. We are going to continue on with the Delphi memoranda, and we're going to start getting into stuff that will be covered probably in the Franks. I'm also going to wipe off both of my sets of glasses are all smudgy. So we are going to go over things that are going to be heavily covered in the Franks hearing, where the officer allegedly fudged all of the witness testimony. And it looks like the defense brought recipients, if you will. Well, if I needed help with my diet, either that, if I needed help or discouragement on my diet, because I don't know if that makes me want to eat a bunch of donuts or not eat a bunch of donuts. It's kind of 50-50 right there, distant.
this sample, you determined there's a match. Just to clarify, the software did not determine it was a match.
No.
Although this face.
No further questions.
Hey? No, you're on. All right, you may step down. Good time to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take.
All right, and I will be making this overlay somehow because Gareth reminds me of one of my favorite shows. This particular character is named Prince Merkimer. He is insufferably arrogant, completely incompetent, and most wonderfully self-assured that he is perfectly right in all the wrong reasons and God's gift to women. He is in fact Prince Merkimer, and that is Gareth. Oh God, Salbert. Well, I will be leaving you here for now. Thank you guys for joining me this morning. I am ending a bit early, but I do want to take Friberto out and get him to use the restroom outside, for a change. We're still working on potty training. And then be back here in time to set up for Nicholas and I to go over Odinism, runes, all of the craziness that's going on in this this Delphi case. And then hopefully next weekend I will be able to go up to Delphi and look at the Monon bridge. I will not be going over the bridge. I can barely walk upstairs. But I will see you guys later. I will explain more of my plans and we will see you in about 10 minutes because I can't quit you guys. I love you. See you later. Bye, guys.